Okay, it's Sue Greenwald here with Awaken Stories, and I'm here today with a special guest, Anthony Zender. Hey, Anthony, how are you?
I'm good, Sue.
Awesome, awesome.
It's
So,
good to be here. It's good to be talking. This was kind of, we just put this
yeah,
together,
yeah,
came together.
yep,
Daddy works in mysterious ways,
totally,
but I'm glad to be
totally.
here and to talk about what we're going to talk about.
Awesome. So, as many of you already know, Anthony was a super soldier, is a
Is
super soldier, and also a MMA fighter, which I didn't know, but my friends in Australia seem to know.
okay.
Is that
I guess
interesting?
internationally known.
Yeah, yeah. So, what I wanted to do is just get to know you a little bit and share that with the audience. So, can you kind of let us know how you got started as a super soldier? Like, maybe define what a super soldier is or does,
Yes.
roughly, and then kind of your story. And then I'll just butt in once in a while.
Okay. All right. We'll get into this. Because being a super soldier, it started really before my birth. It was in my family. And my grandfather, he was a engineer for all the secret projects. He worked on propulsion systems, lasers. He worked on the Star Wars defense system, which is the satellites that they said that they were using to take down missiles during the Cold War, but actually it was for something else that they were covering up. But he was working on all that. He could never talk about what he was working on, but he was working on obviously technology that they were using for the secret space program. And then so I come into the picture, as a child, I was born. I was exhibiting, gifted and talented abilities. Like as a child, I was just like I was the lead in the school play. I was singing solos, a white sport coat and a pink carnation. I was physically gifted, achieving like the Presidential Physical Fitness Award in my childhood. So I was gifted as a child, and that really actually came from being reincarnated and carrying the talents over from past lives into this one, and that I remembered obviously. So the government knows who's coming in, and through bloodlines, and with these bloodlines have abilities, psychic abilities that have been um, you know um, known about by the elite. And so I was identified as a child, to be gifted and talented, and was part of the gifted and talented education program, which is called the GATE program. So people can start looking into that. But
Gate, Gate.
yeah, yeah,
And what state was this in?
this was in Washington.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they have this in every school, every state, like
It,
at least in the US, let's say?
right. It's more people are coming forward with the remembering of being part of this program.
Yeah.
In many of the states, but it seems like the Pacific Northwest is a focus for
Okay.
this place. But I was involved in that program, and I remember being in school, and them taking me into different rooms and saying that I was having a hearing test. But they were, I put on these uh, headphones, and then they would, do different tones and stuff. But I actually found out that uh, those tones and frequencies that they were putting in our ears were actually to test out to see if you could be susceptible to being aware of different frequencies, which showed your psychic ability. And so I was, as a young child, I've always been able to remember my dreams. I've been lucid dreaming. That is an indication of psychic ability, and this they use this ability in the Secret Spouse program to operate their technology through consciousness. So as a little kid, I was basically groomed in my early childhood years because they identified me as gifted, and then they actually moved in a family uh, right next to me, and all of them were trained to be pilots in the military. So they were all trained to be military pilots, and they were moved into my life to influence me to become part of the military because I saw them go through all their training and stuff, and they were actually involved in influencing me. I like to call it the Adjustment Bureau because they wanted me to steer me to go into the military.
So when you say they moved in, you mean the home next door to where you live?
Right,
Okay,
right,
so they
right.
put a whole family there to like probably watch you,
Yes.
influence you, like you
Yeah,
said.
yeah. That they knew what they were doing. So I mean, I was just a little kid, but these brothers would come outside and play with us kids out in the courtyard. But really, I now can look back and see that that was,
Right,
orchestrated.
right. Okay.
And so they did actually come into my life. And then my mother actually got married to one of them. He wasn't the one that joined the Marines, but they were all pilots. So, and with pilots, they have to sign non-disclosure agreements because they go up and they see things that they're not. So there's a lot of secrecy involved in my family and stuff on that side of the family because they can't talk about things that they know, but I'm not bound by any non-disclosure agreement.
Okay.
So
So when you say pilots, do you mean all pilots, even if they're commercial pilots or whatever, have to sign an
yes,
NDA?
commercial pilots too. Like they all have to sign it because
Okay.
they go up there and they see what's going on, and what they see is
Yeah.
that they know the truth about what they're seeing, and they know what we're being told. So
Right.
that's why they got to sign it.
Right.
So
Right. We've talked a little bit about that before, about how the land masses are different. We have a map that we've grown up with, and we
yep,
think
and that's not the map.
that's not the map.
So
Okay. Yeah.
everything we've been told is a lie.
Yeah.
That's the first beginning of awakening. But
Yeah. That should be the theme of the year. Everything is a lie.
yeah,
So every pilot has to sign that. And not
yes,
to get off on a tangent, but I just wanted to stress that point.
mhm,
So there's a lot of secrecy in your family.
yeah,
So your grandfather kind of was the first in line,
right,
as far as
right,
you know.
yes, yes. And so when I was a child, I was getting groomed, but I was also being abducted
Oh,
in military abductions. So the first military abduction I can remember was when I was 6 years old. And that is when I had a dream that a hand was coming and taking me out of the window.
oh, oh.
And that I then found out was a screen memory that they placed on me for because what really happened was the government came and abducted me like actual humans. Actually, it's called a operation. The CIA runs it. It's called Operation Green Star, and it's made. It's the MyLab operation. They go and they take people out of their beds without anybody knowing, and then they take them to deep underground
Right,
military bases and do
right.
experiments and put in implants. And I actually, a small percentage of people is able to remember these experiences because the highly psychic ones are um, less susceptible to the memory wipes. And so I was actually able to remember my abductions. I remembered getting taken down to the deep underground military bases and being put on a table and then having doctors over me. I remember that. And I remember being in cla- classrooms of children like they have in Stranger Things. Like when I saw the movie The Stranger
Yeah.
Things, that's a disclosure show, but like when they had the rooms with the little rainbows on the wall and stuff, that brought back memories because I remember being in those rooms, and I remember a memory of being with some children. We were at a table, and we were sitting there practicing telekinesis on a bowl, like moving it back and forth. And so that was all like the the pre-training, for my childhood years to get me ready for the secret space program. And all throughout my childhood, I would be like waking up in my bed, and then I'd have like blood all over my sheets, because they would implant implants through my nose,
Okay.
and so that was all the proof that I needed. That I mean, I didn't know what was going on
Yeah, yeah.
back then, but now I do.
So as a child, you have like kind of a distorted memory of what happened, but they came into your room, they took you to the dumbs,
Yeah,
and then you practiced all night with other children.
yeah.
So, were you tired the next day during regular school?
Well, I never really noticed. With me, I've always been able to have high energy and not really be
Yeah.
affected that much by all these
Yeah.
um, abductions and experiences. So, but I will tell you that I do go on missions now and stuff and get taken on 20 and backs, and you do know that something happened when that when
Yeah.
that happened, because you will go to sleep and then you'll wake up and then you'll just be disoriented
Yeah.
and you'll just
Yeah.
be like, what happened? And usually that's the indication that you've been taken for something, experiments, 20 and back, whatever it is. But yeah, I'll definitely get that now because I'm still being utilized in missions.
Okay. So you'll wake up and you're like, who dat? Who dat?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you're like, ah.
Yep, yep.
So with these, we'll call them implanted fake memories, or what did you call them? They're
Screen memory.
all right. So is the edges like a little hazy and fuzzy around that? Like you might see, you said you saw a hand.
Mhm.
Is it like kind of grayed out around it or cloudy or it's like somebody took an eraser to the
I
picture?
mean that's a good way to put it. I mean, different indication, like different things happen different way, but usually there'll be some sort of shadowy, um, unclear,
Yeah.
kind of stuff going on with the
Okay.
dream, that lets you know that it's not what it seems to be.
Right.
That's how you can know when there's a screen memory implanted over
Screen memory.
what really happened.
All right. Right.
And so yeah, I've had all the abductions when I was a kid. The Adjustment Bureau just to groom me, to steer me in the right
Yeah.
direction, and that in my high school life, I was a state champion wrestler, undefeated. I showed high level of talent there, and then actually right before and then I went to the Marines right after high school.
All right. I want to back up 1 second though. Sorry.
Yes.
Did your mom know about this?
So here's going into that. Yes, my obviously my grandfather knew about all this. My grandmother did know about this too, because she knew all about aliens. She knew all about what's going on with like the globalization and all that stuff. She went to schools for it and stuff. So she knew. And then my family all knows about what's going on, like with the targeted individual secret space program. So my family knows what's going on, and so my mom knows. And so yeah, that the question to answer
Okay.
that is she knew.
But overall, you've had we'll call it a more positive experience. It wasn't like, we hear some people where they were like literally kidnapped or
Yeah.
whatever. You had a more positive experience than that. I'm assuming,
Right.
right?
That's because I found out about that because when I got out of the Marines, that's when the memories started returning,
Mm.
to me, because up till the Marines, I didn't know I was in the secret space program, or that I was in my lab. But when I got out of the Marines, that's when I started having my awakening. Started getting into spirituality, doing the meditation, doing the breath, everything, and then that's what unlocked the memories.
Right.
But when that happened, they knew that I was waking up. So I went into the VA, the actual VA, to talk to somebody about what I was remembering, because I was having all these dreams come back of missions, being on missions, taking out, you know, aliens, fighting aliens, being on other planets, going into deep underground military bases, rescuing children, evacuating planets that were being destroyed, going in and getting the people that are involved in the pedophile trafficking rings. And I remember I had all those memories coming back. And as they were coming back, I needed some answers. So I just went in the VA to talk to somebody. And um, basically, they told me that I had a gift, and that I should come back next week. And then when I did, there was a man waiting for me there, like, and he was there for me. And he came up and approached me, and he was just like, "Hey, I'm Commander such and such from the Navy. He's like, yeah, I've been on all sorts of different, aircraft carriers, submarines. And he starts talking about all this really sensitive military information. And I'm just waking up because he was kind of testing me to see what I could remember. But I didn't know that at the time. And he was saying like sensitive stuff like, uh, if it's up to me, I would assassinate the president of Iran. And he's like, you know how easy it'd be to get a nuclear bomb in the United States? He's like, all you'd have to do is just row to shore. And he's like, that's all just the tip of the iceberg. And he was talking about black operations, which is what I've been involved in with being a MyLab and a super soldier.
Yeah.
So he was testing me to see what I knew at the time, but which I hadn't remembered that much. And then he's like, he gave me a card. And he's like, oh yeah, so you're writing a book. He's like, we should talk about that book sometime. We should go to dinner and talk about it. And I actually never followed up on calling him, but then that same guy ended up showing up at a church I was going to at the time, and he was there actually talking to somebody that I knew from high school.
Oh,
So he knew all this information, and then we go through the service and stuff. He's like, "Do you need a ride home?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And so he gives me a ride home, and I'm like, "So what do you do?" He's like, "Oh, I'm a berry farmer," is what he said what he said he was. And I'm like, "Okay." And then he starts talking about sensitive stuff again. And then as I'm getting out the door, he's like, "Yeah, yeah." He's like, "But you know what I've always been interested in is aliens." And he dropped the alien bomb right there. And but at that time, I still hadn't fully remembered stuff, but that was the government, my government, they call it a government, the government interaction. Like when once you wake up, you get approached by the government.
all right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just back up to when you were a kid. I'm going to ask a bunch more questions
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll move forward in time. So you were basically taken out of your room every night, down into the dumps. You did psychic type of
Yeah.
exercises, training.
Yeah.
Did you recognize anyone else in the room?
Um, from my childhood, I don't, but like from like when I remember memories of missions and stuff I've
Yeah.
been on,
Yeah.
like I'll remember other super soldiers that are out.
Right.
I
Okay.
can put names and faces to them.
Okay, so basically you went through these exercises for an undetermined amount of time, okay? And then you lived in, we'll call it a normal life as far as you would remember.
Right,
A
right.
normal life. But then you were kind of felt the urge to join the Marines.
Yeah.
Right? Just a random urge.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like, cause the when they moved the family into my, I saw them become pilots. They
Right.
were flying the coolest jets.
Yeah.
They were in their dress blues, and I was just like, whoa, I want to be a Marine.
Yeah.
And they would send me all these patches and stuff. And actually, they even took me on base with them too because I was being trained because as a kid they would give me flight simulator games. They would give me all these different flight simulator games to play, and I would be up there playing them, getting trained. But they would also take me up to fly too, like because they were training to be pilots. But in the college they were in the flight program, and they would just take me up all the time. They would let me land, take off, fly around. So I was getting aviation training when I was like a kid.
You actually flew the plane.
Yeah, yeah. Took it off, landed it when I was a kid. When I was a kid, and
Okay.
and so I didn't. I thought I was just like this is all like
What everybody did.
right, right. But
Okay.
but they were training me, and
What about your brothers and sisters? Did they get any of that kind of stuff?
yes. I mean they're in the programs too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so it runs in the family, definitely.
Yeah.
And these young men next door, they were like older than you as when you were a child, and so you just kind of grew up always seeing what they were doing,
Yeah.
thinking it was cool,
Yeah.
and then they would secretly like kind of
Yeah.
help you.
And I mean, they even like, cause when I was a kid, uh, they were training me because one time I got flown down to visit to go to SeaWorld, and where my uncle at the time, he was flying FA-18 Harriers for the squadron, the Diamondbacks in Miramar. And I was sent down there to go on a vacation to SeaWorld. But that I did go to SeaWorld, but it was really to get me to military base because I remember going on the military base with my uncle. My uncle's a major, like so he's that's a O4, so that's pretty high up there. And basically what happened was he took me on base. We went into this room, and I just remember all these advanced computers being around in the room. And then they took me out with my uncle, and we went into this circular sphere room, and there was a cockpit that was suspended in the middle of the room, and it was a highly advanced simulator, military simulator. And I was 12 years old, and I remember walking out on the catwalk, getting into the cockpit. You know what I'm saying? My uncle's sitting behind me, and they let me fly the simulator, and I remember I was just flying it and doing it just like I had learned in the games and all the training. And I was actually what I found out, and this came later, was I was actually test piloting the F-35 Lightning II um, aircraft, like before it had actually came out. Um, and I found that out through getting access through my military abduction files through the ACIO, which is the Alien Contact Intelligence Organization. So I got filled in on a lot of the stuff that was going on because I had done the searching, and it had led me to find um, my source in the ACIO that's been able to fill me in on all this like stuff that
Right,
they've been doing.
right.
So I have what you would call total recall. Like, I mean, I don't remember every single thing, but I remember enough to have recall, total recall.
Interesting. Okay, so you're 12 years old. You go down and you fly this thing, and then you go through life. You join the Marines at 18-ish,
18, yeah.
and you were there for 4 years?
4 years, yeah.
Okay.
But before I
Okay.
even joined the Marines, right before I joined the Marines, my mom got hit by a car going 55 miles an hour on foot. And she was
Mm,
badly injured. But she made a miraculous. You want to talk about super soldiers? She's a super soldier, like,
wow.
and she
Wow.
she made a miraculous recovery. And at my graduation, she was able to be there for my graduation, which was 3 months later. So
Wow.
yeah, I graduated from boot camp. I'm actually graduated second in my class of 300. I could have graduated first, but I didn't shoot very well on the day of the shooting range. So I graduated second, but the command allowed me to have the promotion as the same promotion as the top guy gets, which is actually really rare too. So after that, I went through my training in the Marines, and I was infantry. I was an assaultman, um, and I went to Fallujah, Iraq, and did a tour over there. And then I came back. I was training to be a sniper, scout sniper for my platoon, and then I got sent to the all Marine wrestling team because I had wrestling.
Mhm.
And my commander, he came in and he actually was a wrestler too. So he noticed that. And then he's like, "Hey, we're gonna send you to the All Marine Wrestling Team." So I went to the All Marine Wrestling Team, and when I was on the team, I ended up getting thrown and breaking my arm. And me breaking my arm actually kept me from going to a second deployment. And in that second deployment, my roommate was blown up in IED, and I probably would have been there with him.
So sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Had to
So
be hard.
it
Yeah.
was, it was, and but I mean, he comes to me in my dreams too because I know, life goes on. So
Yeah.
I speak to bad people. So I see dead people. I see, but yeah. So that happened. Then I finished my 4 years, got honorably discharged, and got out. Started going through a hard time, being out. That's what led me to my spirituality. That's what led me to my awakening. And here I am today doing disclosure, because it's part of my mission. That's why I'm here, is to help the people through this transition, because a lot of people are going to have questions, as everything's breaking down, the reality that we knew is breaking down. People are going to need guides, to get us through this. So I've been able to learn what I know to be able to help people through the transition.
Wow. So interesting. So when you were in the Marines, did you do anything, we're going to call it, besides you were training, obviously, you were in actual battle, all right? Did you do anything, we'll call it special, that would have assisted you in the secret space program? Like,
Not that I know of,
okay,
because as far as I can remember, I just did there was nothing special in my actual
yeah,
military career, but it was all behind the scene stuff
right,
going on.
right.
And so I just did the uh the normal,
The basics,
yeah, the
right.
basic stuff.
Yeah. So if anyone has specific questions, you can put them in the comments below and I'll try to monitor that. And we're going to probably talk about a lot more and we'll come back to it as we can,
Mhm.
right? So what happened then after you got out of the Marines?
So after I got out of the Marines, I was just kind of lost. You know what I'm saying? Because you have the Marines behind you. They take care of you. They do all that stuff. But then when you get out, it's just like you kicked out the door. And I kind of was like going from couch to couch. Just kind of uh,
Yeah,
trying to find
yeah,
my way in the world. And then that's what led me to um starting to I went into learning about because God. I believe in God. I know I have had you know experiences where are undeniable, but I'm not religious though, because I learned about the religions are there to control you.
right,
So I was able to use religion to learn about God and then go beyond it. And so that was what allowed me to my awakening. And then after the Marines, I continued to fight, because it was in me. And then that's when I became a professional fighter. And I started professionally fighting, had 38 fights. And just as I started having my spiritual awakening, I started writing books. It was all coming back to me. And I started writing books. I've written 11 books. And so it's just a constant flow of information now
all right.
that's coming through.
Was there a period in your life that the memories and the experiences came back faster than others, or is it just something will trigger that memory?
Right. It's your soul, your soul will let, because your soul is the holder of the memory, and it will let you remember what you're ready to remember when you're ready to remember it.
Right,
And the more spiritual work you do, the more you'll get
right,
to know.
right,
And so I wanted to know it all. So I was just, I was just meditating, praying all the time. And I was getting my dreams back, my memories
right,
back,
right.
and then all of that, as I started waking up to being a super soldier, I started noticing black helicopters flying around me everywhere I went. Everywhere I went, there'd be a black helicopter just coming out of nowhere, flying over me, right over my house. Following me everywhere, whether I was in the city, whether I was in the middle of the mountains. They were following me. And that was when I woke up. I'm like, okay, something's going on here because I'm getting followed around by these black helicopters. So I looked up, I did my research about the black helicopter phenomenon, and that led me to find out about military abductions. And then I was like, okay, then I found out that I was a military abduction. Then that led to finding out that military abductions was part of the secret space program. So then that made all my memories make sense
Right.
and all that. And then I was able to get led to certain someone that is in the ACIO. that has access to all of the MyLab files. And I learned about this person through James Rink. You know who James Rink
I
is?
do. Yeah.
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 So I have a connection with James Rink and got connected with Peter the Insider through James Rink back in 2016. And since then, we have a very close relationship. I can just call him up, get any information I need to get. And he's been able to fill me in on stuff for 8 years now or 9 years about what's going on, because he is an insider.
Interesting.
So yeah, the first time I got access to my files, he was like, "Oh my God!" He was like, "I've never seen anything like this before," and that's when he was able to tell me some certain information about like how many missions I had been on, which was like over 4,000 missions because through MK Ultra and the different mind control programs and stuff they can split your mind, create alters, program those alters for different missions that they
Right.
need.
Right.
And then after they're done with that, they erase you and they just keep doing it over and over again. And actually, this technology can be seen on the movie Bloodshot.
Vin Diesel,
Yeah,
right? Right.
Bloodshot's
Yeah.
that's what a super soldier is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like because they show we're getting flown over right now too. This is actual surveillance. It's not just a plane. But because it's made to all the did you hear it just slow down right there?
Yeah. I heard like the gear shift or
Yeah,
whatever.
and all this is to like all the targeting I'm involved in
Yeah.
and stuff and monitoring. It's to slow down the process because I'm remembering so fast.
Ah.
So I know it's just slowing me down, but they're not going to slow me down.
You have permission to speak about this. Like you're not
Otherwise,
talking about what would get, you know.
Yeah, I would. Well, if they like, I have protection because I'm Arcturian. I'm an Arcturian star seed, and I've had experiences where they're around me. They're around me right now. I got two of them around me, just working on me, healing me, and they would heal me a lot of the times when I was taken for the secret space program and put back as a child. They would be there healing me,
Right.
and stuff, and so they can't kill. I would be dead if I wasn't protected, like for sure. So I'm not afraid.
Well, I'm laughing. I'm not laughing. I'm smiling because so many of the people that we've talked with have been almost killed only a billion cajillion times, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there always seems to be something that saves them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And yeah.
That's our friends in higher places.
Yes, friends in high places.
Yeah, yeah.
Good to know, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
so James Rink put out a beautiful video years ago, Changes on the Horizon, which is well worth watching. It's maybe a 3 hour video,
Yeah.
but if anyone that's watching this hasn't seen it, go find it and watch it. It's amazing.
Yep.
But then he does interview a variety of different super soldiers and all of that, and great stories there.
Yeah. He's been a pivotal part in
Yeah.
bringing forward the super soldier part of disclosure.
Yeah.
So it's all just part. Everything is decompartmentalized. But you have to compartmentalize everything to bring it all together, all the different pieces.
Right.
And that's what the process of remembering is you're just connecting,
Right.
like everything together.
Right. So you get out of the Marines, you start meditating, you go to church, you learn a little bit more about God, and then you do your own thing for spirituality. So,
one of the big one for me was I found Ramtha, the Enlightened One, and he is actually an interdimensional being, that is here to help humanity, and he actually has a school in the Pacific Northwest where he's teaching people how to manifest, how to do psychic abilities, and all that. And so I have a connection with Ramtha, the Enlightened One, and anyone can check him out. And he teaches you the truth about how you are God. You're becoming God.
Right.
We're all becoming God.
Right.
We're all divine. That's he gives the truth to you, and we're here to remember our divinity. What we can do as who we are. And so I knew when I was hearing that, I knew I was hearing the truth. And he's always with me too, and he's part of the cleanup. He's part of the Light Brigade.
Right.
that's
Right.
going through cleaning these people out.
Right.
So that was part of my spirituality, is finding Ramtha the Enlightened One and learning about the mystery schools, and learning about my involvement in the mystery schools, not only in this life but in past lives, because I've always been secret societies. If you read my books and stuff, I'm an expert at secret societies, and that's because of my involvement through lifetimes. Because I refer to myself as an aeon, because an aeon is a being that is old.
Old.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Like I have lifetimes of memories. I remember being in Egypt. I remember being actually initiated in the temples, in the pyramids, and had all sorts of extraordinary experiences, levitation, just like
Right.
remembering all that from past lives.
Right. Right.
So and yeah, that's when you open the door, knock, knock, seek, and the door will be open. So
We had a question from a viewer about who you found Ramtha. How do you spell that name?
Ramtha.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, and then could you give us your website? So anyone that wants to look up your videos or books could do so.
Yeah. Yeah. It's www.theimmortalskeep.com.
Theimmortalskeep.com. And I will put that in the description below once we're done. So, yay. All right. So you started to meditate, found Ramtha,
Mm-hmm.
and really it's basically when you go inside, that's where you find.
That is, you have to go in to get out.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what I've learned too, is because through the years I learned how to separate myself from the matrix, from the demiurge, and that was what part of the thing he was teaching. Because if you can do that, if you can get out of their control, you're not in their
Right.
control.
Right.
And that's what I did.
Right.
That's what makes you a targeted individual.
Right.
That's what makes you, that's what happens. But I was able to escape the matrix, escape the control of the demiurge, and become a threat, to the system. So because you can enlighten other minds, and that's their biggest fear.
That's their fear. So that's why we're distracted with our technology, our cell phones, our
Yeah.
TV shows, and all this.
It's called bread and circuses is
Yeah.
what they call it.
It,
The old world order, the elite that have been in rule for since ever. They call it bread and circuses.
Yeah.
That's how they keep us
Busy.
from revolting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're busy with our work, trying to survive, taking care of the kids, and then our entertainment, right?
yeah.
The phone, the constant social media, like what's so and so doing? Like who cares? Like what are you doing is really the question.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That is the question.
yeah.
And everybody's got a purpose. Everybody's got a purpose here, and a divine purpose. We are, through this awakening, we're all going to be reconnected, because the inevitability, which through they call the dialectic, which means the evolution of the universe, is that we're all going to reach our omega point, like our connection back with the source again, because that's how the universe works.
Right.
But they can't. They've been trying to stop that. They've been trying to hold us back
Right.
and all that stuff, but they can't do it forever.
And as we're uplifted, that lifts the entire universe. So every thought matters, every action matters, everything matters.
What yeah, and actually my mentor Ramtha, he says he's like the best teacher I've ever. So beautiful, so amazing to have him in my life, because I've had dreams where I'm just like in these beautiful like scenes, and there's just like flower gardens everywhere, and he's just like take it all in, and he gives me a lot of experiences to let him know he's with me. But Ramtha did say what you think matters, literally, because
Literally.
it is mind that creates matter.
Right.
And that's the problem with the system that we live in, which is controlled by science, the scientific paradigm. does not acknowledge the presence of mind. They are clearly purely physically
Right.
oriented and stuff. But they
Materialistic
are,
world
yeah,
is
they're,
all
they're
that.
leaving out a
Right.
whole nother
Yeah.
dimension, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, which is going to be part of the paradigm, new
Right.
paradigm coming in. It's going
Right.
to change science up.
Right.
It's going to change physics up because we're going to be learning about hyperdimensional physics, and which is a part of the what the secret space program is keeping secret is the true nature of reality, which you know, these scientists are actually trying to figure that out right now with like trying to figure out the grand unified theory of everything. But they never will figure that out until they actually take the mind and the spirit into consideration.
Right.
So they'll be trying to figure it out for years. And I've learned from the ones that have already figured it out that they're not their efforts are really futile until they actually consider the mind
Okay.
in the mix.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So
And I've
interesting.
had just because when I got into the school with Ronka's school,
Mhm.
learning about mind over matter, I learned one of the disciplines they have there. My grandmother actually went to the school, and she did this discipline where they make a symbol on a card of what they want to manifest, what they want to in their life, and then what they'll do is they'll blindfold themselves, and then they'll stick that card on a big in like on a big fence in a field, and there'll be like over 100 people in that field, and they'll be blindfolded, but they'll do these special breathing exercises, and then they'll be walking, but sometimes they'll run into people, but they'll go to they'll be guided to their card if they stay focused. And my grandmother did it, and she actually did it twice. And so I took that discipline and in my life actually did it. And every day I would get up, I made my image on my card because it's basically what you want your future, you know, to be. And I created my image on my card. I focused every day, and then lo and behold, I'm living in this very like it's a neighborhood kind of out in the forest, but lo and behold, I'm doing my focusing, my manifesting. I have this because God's got a sense of humor, and a store right next door to me opens up, and it's called the Time Machine. You know, and I'm like, okay,
On the middle of nowhere.
okay, that's the time machine. That's exactly because we
Yeah.
are our minds are time
Yeah.
machines. And so I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. Like, okay, so I kept doing it, and I do it every day. You know what I'm saying? The manifestation, and so I keep doing it, and then right below me opens up a MMA fighting store. You know, this guy comes and
Get
he
out.
opens up a store, and he's doing all these MMA, and he actually ended up sponsoring me, you know, doing all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, something's working here. And then so I just kept doing it. And then right next door to that opens up this holistic healing masseuse, and you know, which is definitely something that we all need. And because it's not what you want, it's what you need, you know, that God gives you. And lo and behold, her name was Magic. So that's how I know. That's how I learned that
Right.
manifestation
Right.
works.
Works. Yeah.
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 So
So you went through a period of like kind of hanging in the breeze, it sounds like. You were fighting for a while, you found spirituality. You've worked on that consistently from that point forward.
yeah.
Then what happened?
Well, the memories just obviously just kept coming in, and because I'd been involved in multiple 20 and backs, you know, and being de-aged and re-aged. I've had this confirmed by the ACIO, and all those memories starts coming back. So I'm starting to remember missions of just like the most incredible things. Like one of the missions I remember, one of the times I remember was I was on this space station, and it was getting attacked. We were under attack, and you know, people are running around, scrambling around because the space station is getting attacked. And I run in and I go to this door, and then this guy opens up this door, and I get into this like tube, and I get in this tube, and this metal slide just appears in front of me, and I slide down the slide, and then I just get plopped right into this cockpit of a ship, and then it's like got this bubble dome around it, and I'm in this cockpit, and then I'm just like launched out into space, and I'm it was just the most incredible experience. Like I'm in space and I'm seeing the space station, and it's like as big as New York. You know, it's like on that scale, and I'm seeing Star Wars go on. You know, I'm seeing battle. I'm seeing things getting shot down. There's ships crashing into the space station. You know, and then I'm flying my stuff, and you know I'm doing strafing runs on ships and stuff. And then I got shot down, and then I remember a pain being in my side, and then I woke up, and then I felt the pain in my side, and so um, I was just going through all the mission recalls and just having the targeted individual, because I'm part of the targeted individual program. So I get followed, monitored everywhere I go. There's teams of people that follow me. Um, they call them gang stalkers. They'll shoot me with directed energy weapons whenever I'm remembering stuff too fast. But um, I've been able to, because people are affected by their presence differently, and I was able to get to a point to where I'm not affected by their presence, you know, and them, because I know they're watching me, I know they're gonna hit, but they're not bothering me anymore,
Right,
you know.
right. So this plane that just went overhead a minute ago,
Yeah.
what were they after?
They were there to distract,
Yeah.
because you know, just whatever they can do to distract, because that plane is actually what, if it came uncloaked, because it's actually an anti, and this is part of the great intimidation, because that's what's happening right now. People are asking what these drones are for, right? But I was seeing those, what people are now seeing, what they're now reporting. I was seeing those back in 2012. When I first was in my room, I heard a plane one night just circling my house. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. It was circling my house, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And so I went outside and noticed it was just circling, you know, around me. And then I look up at the lights, and I see that they're not like regular FAA regulation. You know, there's a little blue one, green one, white one, and they're all kind of oscillating. And then that was the first time I really was like, okay, I'm seeing something here. And then I go down this, I'm like, okay, is this thing gonna follow me? So I go down to the street a ways, and it just literally just follows me, starts circling around me. So that's when I knew I was being followed. And I did more uncovering, found out that those planes are not planes. They're actually interdimensional craft that have anti-gravity. They can pop in and out of our dimension. And if they came uncloaked right now in the sky, people would be seeing these black triangles, like a sleek black triangle. And that's what we're getting ready for, what they call the great intimidation, because more people are seeing these things in the sky. And so as more and more people see them, the consciousness is going to start to get aware of that. And then that's when the great intimidation is going to happen, because people are going to know that we're not alone. And the elite have, you know, they have a plan. They want to try to control it. So the Project Bluebeam and stuff like that is what they're going to try to pull off and stuff. But when they do that, our friends in higher places are going to show up with their stuff, which is gonna completely make the bad guy stuff obsolete.
Right.
And so when people see this, because this is coming, and when people see this, having the knowledge of what's going on is going to be the most important thing. Because if you have no knowledge at all, like I said, there's going to be four different types of people. There's going to be the people that are shitting their pants, because they're going to be seeing, you know, government crafts. They're going to be seeing light ships. They're going to be seeing a war in heaven, you know, what they're going to be seeing. And, you know, there's going to be the people that are just scared of shit. There's going to be the worshipers, you know, the people that are like, oh my God, you know, that are doing that. And there's going to be the intellectuals that are just like, you know, I was right. You know, I told you, I told everybody.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, And then there'll be the people like us that just have known about this and will just be helping people,
Right.
calm them down and
Right.
stuff. Like it's okay, just go in your house, just with your food, water, because everything's gonna go down, and we're gonna need to have like just a little bit of security and stability for that time. But as it's made, so it's gonna be part of the transition because once it's done, the new system will be brought in, and yeah.
So you think that's still the plan, that the elite is going to do Project Bluebeam and try to?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like they're gonna go down. They won't go down until
They're not
without,
going to stop.
yeah, without a fight.
Yeah.
But that's their
Yeah.
plan. But the higher ups, they know this though. So, but they have a plan for that, and so they're not gonna be able to.
Clue, they're still going to lose.
Yeah, yeah. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. Then that way, because the system that
Yep.
we're underneath right now,
Yep.
is completely to enslave us. Free market Zionist capitalism is allows the 1% to hold all the money.
Yeah.
They have everything. We don't
Yeah.
got anything,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
a free market system, they try to make it like it's something good,
Yeah.
but it allows a certain amount of people to get everything. So that needs to be
Right.
evened out.
Well, it's the carrot and the stick. We're told if we work really hard and work really smart, long hours, do this, do that,
The
we'll
American dream.
succeed.
It ain't the American dream.
It's not set up that way.
Yeah.
It's never set up for your success.
No, it's not.
Ever.
But the new system is, though, that's coming
Of
in,
course.
because not only is it's going to be a new system that's going to replace free market capitalism, it's going to be what's called like social and national capitalism. It's going to be instead of supporting Wall Street, it's going to support Main Street. You know what I'm saying? It's going to support.
I love that.
It's going to support the people.
Right.
It's not going to allow a people to get an overabundance amount of wealth, because you don't need to be an Elon Musk with $333 billion
That's crazy.
making $12 million a day.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's getting
What
taken care of.
all these billionaires, and they've really helped only themselves and whoever they want. They haven't helped the people. So it's about time for the people to have their turn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So now if we were to wave a magic wand right this second and say, what's your goal for getting these messages out there? Like what's your goal? Like how would you like to see things go down?
My goal is to reach as many people as I can
Right.
with the information I have to help the process of understanding, because I know I'm gonna be a teacher. Like after all this is done, I'm gonna be teaching people
Right.
about the new world. So I'm getting people prepared for that, and if I can reach as many people as I can
Right.
to get them prepared, that's what I'm really.
Right.
I'm the ground crew.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, that's
Awesome.
what I want to do.
Awesome. Well, I think your story is really interesting, and we haven't even gotten into it yet.
Yeah.
We just kind of we're tiptoeing down the lane. So let's say let's go back to when your memories started coming to you. So like tell us a little bit about how that started to happen. Like how did you realize they were memories and not, say, weird dreams or whatever it might have been?
Because um in the memories I was having, it was just they were so real. They were it was so real that I knew it wasn't a dream.
Yeah.
And so like those would be coming back to me, and I would be doing different stuff. Like there was one memory I remember where we were on an evacuation mission, and we were on a world where like it was we were on a the beach on the coast, and this city was just like this city of glass. It was a beautiful, just advanced city, and we were there evacuating the people off the planet, because I learned later that they destroyed it. And so I was there in the city evacuating people out, and this was actually one of the first time I got to experience one of my abilities, because what happened was I was there evacuating people out, and I was in one of the buildings, and I remember looking out into the ocean and then seeing a huge like blue and purple plasma ball just come down into the ocean, and then this giant explosion, and then I remember the explosion coming right at me, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is big," you know. And then what I did, because the abilities come out in the most intense situations, and what I was able to do was the explosion was coming. It hit the building I was in. I remember seeing the glass coming at me, and then what I did was I took my hand and I hit the ground, and a bubble formed around me. And I remember the bubble like having all these little time. It was a time stopping bubble because the glass just slowed down. I remember everything slowing down around me, and then I remember like going over and jumping on top of a female being, and then I woke up from that memory. But I'm like, okay, that wasn't a dream. You know?
So, so let's say you're on a mission and you like got killed there. What happens?
Oh yeah.
What happens? Like
Yeah.
when you come back here, do you remember it? Like,
Oh
are
yeah.
you
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
dead?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, no, I mean, because my consciousness is in on these missions. My consciousness is put into a clone body, and it's through consciousness transfer. This is part of the secret space program
Mhm.
technology, and they have different disclosure movies that demonstrate consciousness transfer. But yeah, I'll be on a mission, and I remember being captured one time and shot in the head, and so that, you know, I'll be gone from that, but my consciousness will be reclaimed, and then erased, and then I'll be put in another body, you know, to do another mission. So that's how that works out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. So, tell us more about the memories coming back, like how, like you said, you went in to talk with somebody. All right.
Mhm.
So you went in and you were saying, I'm having all these weird memories, and they were like, I think you should come back.
Mhm.
So you met this guy, and like, kind of what happened? Like, tell us like the story of that.
Well, I mean that was the government
Yeah.
interaction, the government agent
Yeah.
visit. That, you know, once people do start remembering, they will get approached. You know, because they just want to let you know that they're keeping you, you know,
Yeah.
underneath control and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what you really mean by the like what else you want me
Well,
to
like
talk
I
about.
just want to talk about like you had so many experiences, 4,000 missions,
Yeah, yeah,
and most of them have come back to you, or a lot of them have,
yeah,
and you've actually seen your file. You said physically seen it.
yeah. Well, I've had somebody that has access to the
Yeah.
file.
So
Yeah,
you've gotten like
and I can hook people up that because he's reading files again. Because he when he first came out with James, he had read he was taken on reading people's files and stuff, and he read a lot of people's files. A lot of people weren't able to handle the information, so they weren't happy with him, and they were kind of mad. But he's
just
just
relaying the
yeah,
information.
yeah.
Yeah.
So but he's doing information, or he's releasing information now through um the disclosures website and through Jessica Ariel Morocco. They work together. So I can help people get in contact with him too
Okay.
if they have questions about their files. Um, but yeah, that's just what happened. I met with Peter the Insider, you know, was able to get filled in. And then I'm last mission I actually remember was took place in we got Klaus Schwab. You know who Klaus Schwab is?
Hmm.
Yeah, I was actually on the mission to apprehend him because one night I had a dream, or if they're not dreams, I just say they're dreams because I'm
Right.
sleeping,
Right.
but my consciousness is somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I remember yeah, being on a mission. We were going through this forest. It was dark. I remember coming up to this really advanced like mansion. It was just this huge mansion, and we went inside. We infiltrated inside, and no one knew we were there. I remember being inside, sneaking around, and there were people there, but there were obviously workers and stuff, but they didn't know we were there, and that's how we do it. But we were we were there to get Klaus Schwab because the next day I woke up and there was a intel out that had been released that a black ops team had just apprehended Klaus Schwab in his mansion, and then they said that in the actual media that it would say that he got hospitalized, in which it did. You know, it said Klaus Schwab was hospitalized today, and then a month later he steps down. You know what I'm saying? So like I was there for that mission, apprehending him, and so I know that these people are
Right.
getting justice.
Right.
Also, I've been on tribunals. I've actually been there for some of the tribunals that are happening. I've been witnessing them. I've been seeing the every people that everybody knows being tried. Because when I'm sitting there, I'm like I'm on a council, and I'm like someone is in trouble. You know, like that's the feeling of the air of the aura and stuff. And so there's justice being done. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome news.
yeah.
Well, we know that
The light brigade
this is a
is
time
here.
of change for the earth and the entire universe. Like this ends now.
Yeah,
So,
forever.
yeah. And so a lot of us are now coming together, like you're here now. We're coming together. We're joining our resources, our our knowledge, our forces, if you will, to assist and make it go faster. So it's a very exciting time.
Yep. And
Yeah.
the wait, what was that quote? Together we are more.
Yes.
Together we are more. So
Yeah.
that's what and that's what's going to happen is they've been through division, through religion, through the politics, through economics and stuff. They just completely divided us, but we're at the very end
Yeah.
of it all,
Yeah.
and so we're going to be unified by the great intimidation, and that's going to be what unifies us again. And see, the thing is here's the thing: is like a Star Trek future is what our future is. We're going to be having a Star Trek future. If you can imagine what Star Trek, what
Of
Star
course, I
Trek
love
looks
Star
like,
Trek.
that's what our future looks
Yeah.
like. It is it's ran on a government that's called a meritocracy, where the best people are in the best positions instead of the privileged people that got there through privilege and power, which is why everything's fucked up right now.
Yeah, in the negative.
Right,
Right.
right. So we have an answer for that, and
Right.
that's through a meritocracy,
Yeah.
and then a new financial system, and then also a new religious system too, which the religious system of this earth is mainly ruled by Abrahamism, which Abrahamism is the three religions of Judaism, Islam, and Christianity,
Right. Right.
which all those religions are based on Abraham, hearing a voice in his head telling him to kill his son,
Right.
and that is not doesn't sound like God to me, but
Yeah.
people will argue for that and stuff because they're brainwashed. But if you are logical and reasonable and you're questioning authority, you can see that that's not right. And so there's whole religions based on a terror God, you know what I'm saying, that wants slavish obedience.
Right.
And so that's what we have to wake up from, and that's what I did. So 4.5 billion people subscribe to Abrahamism on this earth. But once they're able to see what that is all about through illumination, illumination is going to be what takes over Abrahamism, which says that everybody has the divine spark within them, and anyone has the potential in them to become God themselves. Like we are all God, and we just and illumination is the proof of that.
I'm so excited to have met you.
I'm glad. I'm
Yeah,
glad.
it's an exciting time to be alive, and you're just coming here basically backing up what most of us watching this already knew, right?
That's it.
So, would you be willing to take questions, and maybe we could come back on tomorrow and answer some of the questions, and then go forward
Yeah,
in your
that's what I'm
story?
here for.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I'm here for.
So everyone that's watching, once the video is stopped, please hammer me with questions. I'm going to collect them, and we'll talk tomorrow again and answer your questions and go forward with your story.
Yeah, yeah. Every little bit we do
Yeah.
is making the process actually speed up
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. And
Excellent.
the questions are. It's good for me to have questions because being able to explain the unexplainable, grasp the ungraspable, know the unknowable has been it's been a journey and a trip. But I have a pretty good I can do it. I can
Awesome.
explain.
Awesome. This has been very excellent. Thank you all for watching. Again, send me your questions and we'll be talking again tomorrow. Thanks so much, Anthony.
Thank you.
Appreciate your
Thank you,
time.
Sue.
Bye-bye.